Welcome into Gamesthetic episode 169. I'm Alex with Sparky there. Hope you're having a phenomenal day today, whatever day you're listening or watching this show. I've got both the boys here with me in the studio. Zach, how you doing? How you feeling? Tired, I imagine.
Yeah, just a little.
Yeah. Other than that, how you feeling? How you feeling coming into this week? How you like the banner? Shout out to Tyler.
My first reaction when I opened the door was, where the hell did this come from?
Yeah, I wish I could have been out here when you guys walked in. Like, what the fuck is that? Where'd that come from? But yeah, shout out to Tyler. Shout out to Tyler for picking up that banner for me. I really appreciate that.
I mean, it turned out good. So
Yeah, no, it turned out really awesome. Shout out to the guys that made it. I wish I knew the name of the company that made it. They're a local company to us, but I cannot remember the company that made it, unfortunately. But shout out to them. John, how are you?
I'm not gonna lie, Matt. It would have been an underwhelming notion for you to have been out here to see the reactions, because he asked about it and I went, "Oh, I guess there's a banner there now."
And meanwhile, John in his corner with nothing.
I could have been sitting here looking at it and just assumed
he would have never
noticed.
Never noticed.
In my mind, it's been there.
Yeah, it's been there the entire time. Meanwhile, we have John's nothing corner at the moment.
Yeah, I'm the bright spot in the corner.
I mean, that is true. Like, yeah, like let me go and go to three cams. Like, you compare the three of us, and John has just so much radiating light over there compared to the others. But that's because we got the cedar wall. So it is what it is. But yeah, shout out to the boys here. We're going to hopefully have a fun time today. I need to adjust Zach's camera just a smidgens. Make sure to follow the show wherever you're listening. We'd appreciate that. We're going to make sure to shout out our sponsors, Agent Inc. and Rogue Energy, later on in the show. For today, we're going to kind of touch on the Metaphor showcase that took place earlier this week. Zach kind of started it right before the show. I've watched it, and I got a bunch of notes on the script. Just kind of touch on it. It seems pretty cool. A lot of different things going on with it. A lot of different mechanics they kind of showed off and touched on. Then going to touch on a little topic here. Why is a 7 out of 10 game bad? Because I have seen that once again all over Twitter of just the question of why is a 7 out of 10 considered a bad game? You know, because I think it kind of spawned back up because the Stellar Blade recently came out and came in like an 82 at Metacritic. That's not bad. You know, and then it got, I think, like a 7 with IGN or something. It's like, that's not bad. Yes, but it always raised the question is, why is a 7 out of 10 considered a bad game? And what should each number actually mean? I've seen a couple people that I follow, content creators, break down each number. Like, this is, in my opinion, what the hell it should mean. You know, because a lot of people, it's just like, oh, 9 and 10, masterpiece. 1 through 8, dog shit. So we're going to talk about that, just kind of give our personal take on it. And then 7 Ways to Die left early access after like what, a decade?
What?
7 days.
7 days, yeah.
Yeah, 7 Days to Die is after over a decade is finally going into its 1.0.
That's crazy. A decade in early access. Shout out to that. So I also thought that we could shout out some early access games that you should be on the watch for, because the early access games pop off all the time. I know a new one just dropped today. That was doing pretty well on Steam in terms of its player count. That was Manor Lords, I believe is what it was called. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, I think that one, I don't know if they had play tests and stuff for it, but yeah, that one seemed to be like everybody was looking forward to it.
Right.
And not one I would have guessed.
Yeah. And, you know, so we'll kind of shout out some that we've maybe had our eye on or something like that. One that maybe one of us is playing, you know, something in beta to watch out for, whatever the case is. You know, that'll take a couple minutes on that. We got Switch 2 leaks. I got that in the weekly wrap-up. I'll go through that. Literally right before we started the show, also came across some other Nintendo-related leaks due to what seems to be a screw-up with IMDb. And Miyamoto's current projects that he's working on were updated on IMDb when they should not have been updated. So got a few different leaks there. I'll touch on a weekly wrap-up, as well as the Fallout 4 shit show that's going on. We'll touch that on the weekly wrap-up and more. We'll have the best show that we can possibly have, I suppose. But anyway, how are we feeling, though? All good vibes all around? Good vibes? Somewhat, you know, we're here vibes? What's the vibes? Let's do a vibe check. What's the vibe check today?
I feel like we're just all here.
I agree.
I got a pulse.
I agree. I am just here.
It's not often that me and you are going back and forth for like a string of messages going, what are we going to talk about today?
That's true.
Usually we could come up with something pretty quick.
Yeah, very quick. Yeah. Today was one of those like just here kind of vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was surprised when I finally turned on my computer and saw I had 14 messages on Discord. I went, the hell happened?
Trying to figure things out. I don't know, man. No, today was just one of those weird days, man. Felt like crap today. Felt like absolute crap today. So it's just one of those days. I'm ready to go to sleep tonight at a decent time and not like 1 a.m. So that's gonna be great. Looking forward to that. But all right, let's go ahead and dive into some stuff. Let's get the show on the road, shall we? So yeah, Metaphor ReFantazio. Is that how you pronounce it? How would you pronounce it? I'm horrible at pronouncing things.
I mean, here's a guess. That's as good as what I would.
All right, bet. But yeah, this is Atlus's new IP. This is looks pretty interesting from the reveal that we got last year. We did get a release date of October 11th, so that shout out to that. Looking forward to that on that Friday. Also showed off Collector's Edition. You gonna pick that up?
Yes.
Awesome. So what's how are you gonna pick it up?
So Alex sent me the link to the collector's edition, and thus we've returned to the P3R dilemma of
God.
Of how should he buy it?
so because I still only have a digital Xbox, and the collector's edition, of course, comes with a physical.
Yep. Which shout out to that.
So odds are, I'm going to buy the collector's edition straight out, and then use an Affirm card to buy the digital.
You can just buy the digital too at this point. Just buy the game. Are you talking about just buying a digital copy of the game for like $60-$70?
That's legitimately what I just said, yes.
Okay, I mean you don't have to use an Affirm card for that. You can put the collector's edition on the Affirm card.
Yeah, no, the collector's edition deserves the full payment.
Yeah, I mean whatever you want to do, man. So so what are you buying it for? Xbox or PlayStation? The collectors.
That's not a question to him. That's like a question that we have. That's not one that he has.
I'm just curious.
He buys it on Xbox.
I'm just curious.
So you think
You don't have a way to utilize the collector's
I know
edition
what
game.
you. Let me take it from here. I also want to point out that in his explanation, because I feel like he was about to say this, in his explanation of what he has, he said he only has a digital-only Xbox.
Correct.
So that's why he's trying to decide if he buys the collector's edition and a digital copy for his Xbox.
Yeah. It's back to the original.
All right,
dilemma.
hold the show. Alex, why do you think I would buy it for PlayStation?
Because you may buy a PlayStation. You considered this with P3R. So I'm trying to get down to the bottom of it. Are you buying sooner or later? Are you just going to buy an Xbox Series X? Or are you going to buy a PS5? I'm just trying to figure out your future plans, my friend.
I'm gonna upgrade my PC.
Do that too with your 49-inch monitor you've got. How big is that thing? Is it 49?
I believe so, yes.
That's crazy. That's a crazy size monitor, but
But it's curved monitor,
I respect that. That's what's up. Is that the next thing you're doing though? Is upgrade PC?
probably.
All right. Well, see, but I was just asking because I didn't know if you wanted to get a PS5 at some point. All right. So I'm trying to figure out your game plan. All right. I'm trying to lay some foundation here because I know that was in consideration for the P3Rs. You didn't know what way to go about it.
Oh no, that was just for the heck of it. I mean,
That was you further trying to piss me off at the
correct.
time. So, but yeah, either way, shout out to the collection. It does look like a really sweet edition, though. I will say that. It does look like a really sweet edition. But the game is being developed by P3 to P5 devs, and the Persona composer is back with their own like a different style on the music and everything. Mech designer that's worked on all the mech stuff for the game because they did showcase basically your general ship to get from point A to point B and everything. They worked on Neon Genesis, and it shows.
Yep.
It definitely shows from the ship because that was the first thing I saw, especially with like the purple coloring they had for it. I'm like, that's Neon Genesis if I've ever fucking seen it. Also, I point this out to Zach before we started. Big shout out to the way that you can get around of flying on the sword because that's so stupid. And whenever that was introduced in Black Clover back in the day, when me and Zach were still doing AniMan Plus, me and Zach and Josh as well, were just like, that's so stupid, but that's so cool. So I'm glad that that's in the game. That's just kind of a cool little touch. But the new battle system, though, is something I was curious on Zach's thoughts on. So it is still going to be turn-based. The way they broke it down is basically your harder enemies are going to stay in the turn base, but your low levels are going to be a real-time combat. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I feel that's perfectly fine because, I mean, by mid to late game, any of the early fights, if you have to go back to earlier dungeons for something, having to take all the extra frames and whatnot to do battle, one-shot everything, then do a end cutscene for the fight is really time consuming.
Yeah.
So just switching to the lower level fights to real time combat can much streamline your progression.
Streamline it and keep it more entertaining, you
Yeah.
know, because it's kind of like
Keep more engaged because like in most Persona games, by mid to late game, if I'm doing a low level dungeon for something stupid, I'm literally just on brain dead and have auto battle on.
Yeah. And then in the case of, you know, P5, well, I don't know if it's P5 or P5R. I've only done P5R. You know, if they're like, you know, low enough level where it's like the green outline, whatever, you can just literally, you don't even have to do the battle.
Yeah.
You know, you can just run them over in Morgana's, you know, vehicle, or you can just slash through them in a dungeon. So I feel like it's taking that approach, but giving you something a little bit more entertaining to do because you're still playing the game. So I mean, I think it looks cool. I you know, whenever they showed it off, it immediately caught me off guard. I'm like, wasn't this supposed to be a turn-based game? Because that's we haven't seen the real-time combat until now.
Yeah.
So I was like, wait a minute, this was supposed to be turn-based, isn't it?
I mean, this will be an interesting take because this is, as far as I can remember, first Atlus game by these developers that is real time combat. So
I was going to ask your thoughts on this. Do you think that is going to implement into Persona 6?
possibly.
Okay, because I was.
Which I take that back because technically they did do real time combat with Persona 5 Strikers. So this may
that's
just
fair. Yeah.
this may just be their continuation of playing with that.
Yeah, because that was my first thought on this. Because I feel like everything that we're seeing with Metaphor, because you know, one thing they really talked about was like the menus and how, you know, they really wanted, you know, there's like, you're gonna be spending a lot of time in the menu, so we wanted to make it a really cool interactive experience. You know what I mean? I feel like everything that we're seeing with this game is giving us a tease of what's to come with Persona 6 in terms of just the presentation of the game. You know what I mean? They're just continuing to evolve the presentation. You know, because like, you know, someone who's now, you know, gone to the, from P5 to P3 Granul's remake, and now I'm on P4 Golden. You know, I'm seeing that progression of just how stylized it continues to become. So I kind of feel like this is like a tease, like just like a little trickle of like what's to come with P6. So that's why that was my first thought was, you know, is this real time combat, is this going to be implemented in the next game? You know, where you're going to take out like the quick, you know, low level, you know, beat them up, whatever that P5 had, where you just run them over, slash through them, and it's going to replace it with this, which I'd be fine with.
I mean, it's quite possible. I mean, they mess with with Strikers, and have you ever seen a whole lot into the whole Persona Phantoms or whatever thing?
Persona Phantoms.
It's like another spin-off thing that's been circulating amongst the Persona community because it's only an Eastern thing, but it's like Persona. I think it's somehow related to 5. You sent me the screenshots and stuff of the character designs a while back.
Phantom X?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the mobile game.
Yeah.
That's the mobile game coming out. Yeah.
So I mean, there's some of that where that's possibly going to be real time action as well. So
Yeah.
I mean, from what it looks like with some of the projects, Atlus is very much looking towards using real time action and maybe leaning away a little further away from turn based, which the pros and cons to both that for just player base. I mean, I personally just like the menus of turn based, but I mean, real time action can be fun and have no issue with. In terms of is this sort of a sneak peek into 6? Based on how I've seen the games progress, maybe baseline.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought is baseline.
But in terms of like how 6 is going to turn out, it'll probably have its own unique theme and design like they've done in every game. So
yeah, it'll definitely have its own unique theme. It's just I feel like, and you know, I could end up being let down. I just feel like my expectations for what to expect from a stylized standpoint and just how, you know, pretty and advanced it looks, you know, that's kind of where I'm, you know, thinking that this could be a tease. 'Cause I even saw some people online after or in comments, whatever, where it's just like, man, seeing the menus for this game, this is what I thought video games like should have all like looked like by this point. It's like, this is like, you know, just it feels so advanced, you know what I mean? It just feels new and different. So, you know, of course, in true Atlus fashion, just the game looks beautiful top to bottom. It's not set to be open world, but it is set to be pretty massive. And I definitely got that vibe kind of looking at it, especially when they pulled up the map and you're going to all the different areas. And, you know, they were exploring through like one of the cities and stuff like that, going to like an alley and all that stuff. So it's like, it definitely feels like a pretty massive area, but just not open world, which that's fine. That's ideally.
I was about to say they've never done an open
Yeah,
world.
I would prefer it to be like that personally. I'm kind of open world out. Like I'm looking forward to some open world games, but like, I'm fine with some what we've kind of got going on with a few different games right now. The job system was kind of interesting because like, so, John made a joke about this before we started that the game's story kind of feels basic, and it's funny because even in the trailer they even said it's just like hope with all the twists that we have, hopefully you enjoy everything on this unique twist on this classic tale where the story is pretty straightforward, where it's just like kingdoms thrown into chaos because the king was assassinated, but then the uniqueness about it where it's just like there's a royal magic that's triggered that establishes an election. This magic allows anyone of any social status to become the next king by gaining the people's support, which I'm sorry, but that it's funny to me that we have the sword flying, because that also sounds like a Wizard King situation in Black Clover. You can become the Wizard King by gaining the people's respect by not just being the strongest. But whatever, I'm not going to say anything more on that. But the job system seems pretty interesting, where that is called archetypes, which that is basically their version of like personas in this case. They're not necessarily named super unique, where it's like named after gods and stuff like that. They're all pretty straightforward, where it's like seeker, mage, stuff like thief. They look sick though.
You know what mod I need now? Where all the archetypes are character archetypes instead of whatever they do.
Oh, it's gonna be one.
So we just have a bunch of random ass character archetypes.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be one. But going through basically like the different jobs and kind of leveling them up and stuff, you can help gain more followers per the archetypes and stuff. But that again, that basically looks like their version of what a persona is in this case. I noticed also, and I saw some people in the comments where it's just like, it says the protagonist will battle against their anxiety to access these archetypes, and people's like, battle against my anxiety? I can't do that in real life, let alone in a game. So I was just like, okay, all right, I'm curious what that's going to entail for the game exactly. But lots of main and side dungeons. In fact, there's more dungeons in this game than any other Atlus title. And then for those fans of this aspect of Persona games, there will be no romance with all of your characters, but you still have your normal day-to-day hanging out with people, building the bonds from 1 to 10, doing general actions like cooking and all that BS and all that stuff. But I mean, top to bottom, I thought this was a pretty sweet showcase. I'll be really curious of your thoughts when you finish watching the whole thing. Please text me and let me know your thoughts on it, because I'm really curious what you think about it, because I thought top to bottom it looked really sick. One thing I thought was really interesting, and I'm going strictly based off comments. Once you get there, please confirm if that is what it was, because I didn't bother to also go Google it. My bad. But at the end, they're just like, oh, let's show you one more thing, whatever. And it's like right before that, everyone was saying in the comments that the protagonist was wearing a Persona 1 outfit. So I thought that was a neat little Easter egg. So, whenever you get there, confirm to me if that is Persona 1 outfit that he was wearing. Because
I would assume so, because looking at the collector's edition, one of like the bonus downloaded content looked like outfits from all the Persona games. So would not surprise me if he's wearing the more updated looking Persona 1 outfit.
Right. Okay. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm curious of your full thoughts on it. Whenever you get a chance to finish watching it, just shoot me a text on it, because I thought it was really cool. I really enjoyed it. I watched it a couple times just to kind of really take everything in. It looks like a very ambitious project, that Atlus is taking on here. I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see it.
Hey, John. Any news on Monster Hunter Wild?
I was about to turn to you too.
Nope. I'm just, this is one of those times where I'm like, man, I would like to throw in something here.
This is one of those times it's a topic where two of us get it, and the other one's like, all right.
Exactly. It happens.
This is one of those where I'm sitting there. I'm like, I could try to throw something in here, but I've tried Atlus games. They're typically not for me.
Yeah. Who knows? This could be the one.
I doubt it.
I know.
It just because I did watch the trailer, and just looking at how many systems they were just showing off in the trailer, I was like, God damn.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a ton.
So there's going to be a lot of back and forthing.
Yeah. No, I mean, overall, looks very good.
It looks very pretty.
Got that one on my calendar. Looking forward to it.
I need a bigger monitor.
No, I need a bigger monitor. Yeah, just go a firm card, baby. Go a firm card. Firm card's dangerous, man. I have the card. I've thankfully never used it, but it's
not
always
sponsored by a firm.
It's always in the back of my head. I've got that Affirm card. It's just like, nah, Alex, stop. Do not use the damn Affirm card. That's a dangerous weapon to have. And if you're listening to the show and you've used Affirm and you didn't know there was an Affirm card, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I just put that thought in your brain
There's
that you
a
have to go
digital
look
one,
into.
too.
Yeah, there's a digital version of it too. I'm sorry that I just now put that thought in your brain to go look into. Shout out to Affirm though. Not sponsored, but shout out to Affirm. Speaking of sponsors, let's shout out one of our sponsors. I don't have a sponsor button over here. I have a sponsor button over here, though. My bad. Let's shout out Rogue Energy. Use our referral link down below. Promo code Sparky3 to get 10% off your order. Whether if it's the hydration line like Dragon Fruit Mango, the brand new chill line to help you relax after a long day with Strawberry Hibiscus, or the energy formula with Rocket Pop, or the cans get Black Cherry
Or
Lemonade.
the very new release, Strawberry Banana.
Not sure how to feel about
If
that
I
one.
buy it, will we all try it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But like that's just one of those flavors that I like is like milkshakes or smoothies. I don't know.
That is the new flavor that just released as of Friday is Strawberry Banana.
I will say.
Sorry, I was laughing to myself over here because he asked that. You said absolutely. He looked at me, and I didn't say a word.
And I just start shaking my head.
You're going to try it just like you're going to be. Just like for anyone listening to the show, you're going to go down to the referral link and use promo code Spark3 to get 10% off your order. But for Strawberry Banana, though, 100% will try it. I will say this. Rogue don't miss on strawberry. They've got good strawberry flavors.
Well, supposedly it's also in different formula for the energy on this one, too. So
Is it now?
at least that's what the promo email said.
I'm not gonna say what I was just thinking. I don't want to bash one of our partners. But,
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like to hear that. But no, I mean, I am looking forward to trying it though, just because they do have great strawberry tasting flavors. Everything strawberry I've had from them tastes fantastic. You know, it's some of the best on the market. I mean, that's a plus. At least we finally got an energy formula again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's been a hot minute. Like, what was the last one? Was it the Tiger's Blood, maybe?
I believe it was.
Wow, that was a long time ago, too. I think that's right. I think it was Tiger's Blood. Does that sound right to you?
It was that watered down coconut.
I think that's right. I think it was Tiger's Blood.
Because then we got our hydrogen snowstorm, then the sour watermelon and radiant rush,
And yeah, and now the chill.
and then strawberry hibiscus.
Yeah, okay. That's been a while.
I guess it's been a while since I bought some because I bought a bunch of tubs at the beginning
Yeah,
and just been working my way through them.
no, that's
And
fair.
then after that, we just got 2 shakers released and no tub with them, just shakers.
You just gotta send those shakers out, baby. Gotta send them shakers out. All right, let's hop over to our next topic I had slated up, which is why is a 7 out of 10 game considered bad, and what should each number mean from 1 to 10?
Just want to, at the top of this, a 7 out of 10 game is not bad.
Correct.
A 7 out of 10 game is most games that come out.
Correct.
Right.
It's a weird topic because the scoring system being out of 100 is kind of what makes people think like, oh, well, if it scores a 70, well, hell, you've lost 30% of the score right there. And it's like, no, that's just, it's like, it's very rare for a game to enter into the 90s, really. And the upper 90s or 100, damn near impossible.
Yeah.
Game's got to be a masterpiece, a generational game for that.
True.
So it's kind of like it's like people judge games out of being out of 100 when realistically it's like the bar is kind of set at like an 85 is around there of what I would say a lot of games that come out there between a 70 and an 85.
Yeah.
Which that's kind of the bar for the average game that comes out. A 7 out of 10 game, there's nothing wrong with.
Yeah.
It's like I would almost, in my opinion, anything 7 or higher, perfectly fine game. I have no issue with. You start getting under that, and then it's like something has gone wrong, or there is at least something in the game, core of the game, that makes it feel like it's not up to the standard of an average game.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with every single word that you just said, and it blows me away every time we have some game comes out that's just like I look at and like that looks like a fun game, you know, and that's kind of the end of my mindset. But then it comes out with like an 80 or like in the 70s Metacritic range, or it's like a 7 out of 10, and everyone is just like, "Oh, this game fucking sucks."
I will
like,
say,
wow.
I will say, even on this show, we've been a little guilty of like when we
Okay.
read Metacritic scores, if we see like a 75 or something, we'll be like, oof. But that's just because like usually it's on a big hyped up upcoming release that we're
Yeah.
even looking at that for. So we're hoping it's a little higher than that.
Yeah.
We want those are the games we want to be the
Yeah.
90s
Right.
and that, and it's not happening. That's just from our perspective, or at least from my perspective in that sense. That's where the oof is coming from. I wanted a 90 and I'm getting a 75.
Right.
And that's mostly, as you said, some games that are very much hyped up, and we're seeing a lot of bagging advertisement for it. And it's just like it's supposed to be something that's supposed to be one of the top games of the year, ideally. And then Metacritic's just like, yeah, 75 or on the very low end, 65. And we're just like, oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like personally, like I would say not necessarily like the 9 is kind of the borderline. I would say like a 9.5 to a 10. We get a handful of those a year in a good year.
In
Yeah.
a good year.
In
Yeah.
most years, we don't get a handful, but it's like, in my opinion, those are the games that those games come out. Those are your game of the year nominees.
Correct.
Exactly.
Correct.
It's like, and if you have a year where, like, you don't have any like high 90s or anything like that, it's like, okay, well, what are the best? It's like, okay, let's look at the
What are,
low
like, the-
90s. Let's look at the high 80s. What do we have to pick
What are
from
like
out
the
of these choices?
8.75s we got this year?
Yeah.
But it's like that high 90s. That's reserved for the best of the best to come out in the like recent decade.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, even then, score a 9 out of 10 or a high 80. I mean, that's you're top of the food chain right there.
Yeah, you're having a good time. And, just a couple things that I've thought about going into this topic where it's like, first, like, because you jogged my memory when it's like, oh, we've been guilty of the Metacritic thing. I think one little, very niche thing, and that I could see people relating to of when they see like a 70s score on Metacritic, and this is going to sound really dumb, but hear me out, is honestly the color grading. Because let's say
Yeah, I could see that.
in like tier maker, right? It's auto defaulted where your top of the tier is like, dark green or light green. Then it kind of continues to go down where you get to red, which red is considered dog shit, right? And it's the same thing with like Metacritic where you have your greens, your yellows, and your reds. If they just adjusted the 70s to be green and made the 60s to start be yellow, I think that could maybe open up eyes a little bit more. It's like, okay, 70s is not too bad. You know what I mean? Because as, like a game in the 70s is
Have like a dark green.
yeah,
green,
just adjust some
lime
color.
green.
I know that seems dumb to say.
I mean, it makes sense though.
But it's just like that's how things are kind of on. That's just how things are graded on this different like color scale and stuff. But then also something I thought about, and for the people that fall into this category, you're justified. I get it. You're justified, but I still don't think you are justified to like completely shit on a game for being a 7 out of 10. And it's those people that have the mindset of, I don't have a lot of time to play games. Why do I want to play a 7 out of 10 when I can play a 10 out of 10? If that's the case, go play your 10 out of 10. Enjoy the little bit of gaming you've got. That's fine. But like, trashing on a 7 out of 10 game, that's still a fun game. It's just not a masterpiece. It's like, that's dumb. Like it's still a fun game. It's still worth playing, whether if it's at a sale price or playing on Game Pass or whatever. It's not a trash game. I just don't understand the mental block that gamers have of where we see something in the 70s or the 7 out of 10 and it's considered bad. I just don't get it. It just blows me away. And then because it raises the question of what should the numbers actually be.
See, you saying that makes me think of there's a game that just came out on Game Pass either today or yesterday called Another Crab's Treasure. And it's a Souls-like game where you play as a crab. And all I can,
What?
Yeah, no, it's a thing on
That
Game Pass.
sounds awesome.
And it's a thing where I'm just like, this would probably be a 6 to 7 out of 10 game, and it's on Game Pass. And some people will have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
And other people will never touch it.
Yeah, exactly. The people that's going to play it, they're probably going to have fun with it in some capacity. You can find fun with it. You can find fun with the game.
Well, like, I was just looking up a couple like Metacritic scores for games that came out because they were ones that came to my head, and I'm like, I remember these scoring relatively similar. And it's also the thing of like, there's the obvious bias on like for Metacritic of like some games, they're fine. They should be like a 7 out of 10 game. There's nothing. It's like overall, it may not be the most enjoyable. It's a bog standard, nothing special about it game. That's pretty much your 7 out of 10 at its core. But then you have games that come out that are just broken. 'Cause I was looking at it. Redfall came out 54%. And the thing is,
Shout out to Redfall.
well, there's a reason why I bring this up. Because Redfall, it comes out, it's a broken game. There's nothing, like the game doesn't hardly functionally work. It's like,
It looks as if it was presented to us.
yeah, and it's like it was like basically Microsoft and Xbox had to come out and apologize for it and say, we are going to work on this and fix this, and this should not have happened. That scored a 54%. Then we have Forspoken, a game that's just, it's not a great game.
No.
It's a fairly bland open world game. Comes out, scores a 63. It barely scores higher than a broken game that doesn't work. But the game's, I mean, it's fine. It's a generic game that comes out.
Has at least interesting combat mechanics.
You'll have a lot of fun with traversal.
Yeah, it's like, it's a game. It's not going to be for everybody.
Yeah.
But it's one of those where it's like the disparity of like 10 points between a game that's barely playable and a game that's just most people probably aren't going to enjoy.
Yeah.
The fact that that's like 10 points and like Redfall was one of the most broken like games that came out that year that was like nobody had fun with. Mm-hmm. But like the fact that which it probably isn't in contention for like 5 worst games come out that year, but it's probably on the long list of 10. Mm-hmm. And it's like the fact that you have like that there, and then like other games come out that score like a 70, and that's the realm of comparison where a game like I don't know, but say a game scores a 72.
Yeah.
That game is closer to Redfall than a 10 out of 10 on Metacritic scores, and that's what people probably look at it as. Is the fall from grace is so much more drastic than it is from something that is just unplayable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like it's one of those weird things where it's like when you actually start looking at scores, because that's why I was looking at it. I was like, let's look at a bad game that should deserve a bad score for what we got, and then compare like, I mean, hell, most years the like top of the line game of the year generational game, it's like a 94.
Yeah.
And the fact that you could be further away from that by scoring like a 75 than one of the worst games to come out in the last decade even. Mm-hmm. It's wild that that's the scoring system that we have. But it's like because they won't give games lower ratings than that. They use like 70 is what is considered by a lot of people, and I think even some of these reviewers, 70 is like 50 in their mind, which it shouldn't be that way. Mm-hmm.
So more or less, what we're saying is we're looking at like a 1 to 5 scale, but they're using 5 to 10 instead.
Yeah, basically, that's basically correct. Yes, because like I just genuinely don't understand. I don't understand like the mindset on, because basically what you just said, what you both just said is accurate as hell, and I don't understand it. I don't understand why that is the approach. Because like, all right, so for the sake of like what I want to do for this topic, what would you rank Redfall on a 1 to 10? Like, I've only written 2 things on this list: 10 being masterpiece, 1 being unplayable. Where would Redfall?
Redfall would probably be a 3.
Okay, so what would you call like the 3?
What do you mean?
Like, what would you like a 3?
What
ranking,
would a 3 stand for?
Yeah, what would a 3 stand for? That correct? Thank you, Zach.
Like for that example there, it's just I mean, essentially it's a game that comes out. It's not fun to play. It's all of the mechanics and everything are broken. Everything that was like said to be in the game, yeah, some of it's there, but
So just
every
very, very bad game.
Yeah, it's just a bad game. Like core mechanics don't work.
Broken but working.
Yeah.
So
It's a game that you can play. It's not gonna be fun. It's not gonna be enjoyable. None of the mechanics actually work.
So, like, let's say 1 unplayable, 2 god awful game, 3 very bad.
Yeah,
Would
that's fair.
that be fair?
Yeah, I mean, I would, yeah.
So what would be 4?
Tolerable.
Tolerable. Okay, that's fair. I think 5 is very fair to just say meh.
Mid.
It's mid. It's mid. It's literally mid.
Mediocre.
What would 6 be? Just like would 6 be like meh or
I'd say 6 is just kind of fine.
fine? And then 7 can be good.
Okay.
I'd
Okay.
say, yeah. 'Cause
Okay or good.
I would say a 7's okay. Because in my mind, a 7, I will have fun with it, but I will probably not remember it for being good, just for enjoying it for some reason or another.
Okay. I would say 8 can just be very good and 9 be amazing. Would that be fair? I think that's a
Yeah,
fair
I would
scale.
Say, I would say an 8 should be 8. An 8 is gonna be like a really good game,
Yes.
and then a 9 would be your most years game of the year.
Yeah. And then 10 your masterpieces that happen every once in a while.
Yeah, 10 is
Shout out
10,
to Baldur's Gate 3.
yeah, 10 is like it's your game that it comes out and there's no question
Right.
that it is.
10s are the games that come out and they're just ahead of everyone by shots and miles. They're the games that when they come out, other games start replicating stuff. Like I consider Apex having a 10 level mechanic, and the respawns are battle royales, because almost immediately all the other battle royales started using it.
Yeah. And honestly, that's actually another way to look at it too, is you can look at a game from on a 10 to 1 rating about where it falls, but you can also look at it for its respective genre.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think there's a couple different ways to look at it. Like, what does it do for the genre?
Yeah.
And then what does it do in general?
Because if you're looking at it like that, there's one game that has probably changed the way developers have looked at games for like the last 10 years or so, more than anything other, and I fucking hate it. Fucking Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
I hate
Every
I
game announcement
hate-
had that Breath of the Wild
I
moment.
hate what that game did to developer. Everybody wanted to make a Breath of the Wild game.
True.
Everybody had to change their game to be like that.
So many game trailers that would end or have been somewhere in the middle or towards the beginning of that moment of the main character standing on a hill and showing the world the Breath of the Wild moment. It changed gaming. You're right.
See, the only ones I enjoyed of that was Outer World 2's version of it, because that was just an entire satire trailer.
That's fair. That's fair.
Not even just like that moment in it. It's like the amount of games that just they tried to clone like the gameplay loop in the world.
Yeah.
It's just that bugged me so much.
That's fair, because that happened to a lot of games, man. That happened to a lot of games. So I feel you.
Because, like, another game I think that's more on the not as talked about side as would be Vampire Survivors. I mean, overall, I mean, I would probably rate that game like an 8 or something. But in terms of like how it affected an entire genre, it started a genre, so it's a 10 on that alone.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
For it just being what it was, it's probably an 8. But for its impact on the industry, it's a 10.
Yeah.
The amount of those games that have come out since then.
Right.
It
right.
created an entire genre, so.
Yeah, that's fair, and that's a phenomenal way to look at some of these games. There's a different way to look at it. You know what I mean? There's a different way to kind of grade these things. So yeah, so 10 masterpiece, 9 amazing, 8 very good, really good, 7 okay or good, depending on how you want to look at it. 6 fine, 5 mid. It's middle of the pack. 4 tolerable, 3 very bad, 2 god awful, 1 unplayable. I think that's fair, and you can throw a 0 in there if you just want to really just drive home that this is ET.
Dumpster fire.
This is ET. Bury the game.
Yeah, because I mean,
In fact, I'll write that 0 is ET.
I was gonna say for years we've been talking about how 7 out of 10 games. There's nothing wrong with a 7 out of 10 game. That's because a 7 out of 10 game is still a good game on its, or it's still a decent game that has,
Or at the very least, it has some good aspect to it
Yeah.
that you're going to enjoy.
yeah. It's like it's a game that like probably not gonna be for everybody, but it's gonna have its decent fan base that likes it for what it is.
Yes. I mean, I've got plenty of 7 out of 10 games throughout my life that I've played and I've really enjoyed. Like, they're fine. You know, I have fun with them.
I have plenty of games that are 5s, but in my mind there's 7.
Hey, as long as you enjoy it, you know, as long as you enjoy it, that's all that matters. I definitely have my games that are like probably a 3 or
Conquer?
No,
Yeah,
relax.
no.
That game's amazing.
Hey, you can't suddenly adjust the scale
I'm
that
not.
we've just determined because of your
Whoa,
feelings for the game in
Whoa.
particular.
Conquer is not a bad game. Conquer reviewed well. Both of them did. Okay.
But there was 3 games.
Yeah, shout out to the Pocket Tales game. Yeah, shout out to the Game Boy game. But Bad Fur Day and Live both reviewed well. I mean, they're good games. They're not masterpieces. No, I wouldn't even, as much as I love them, I wouldn't even realistically call them amazing games or even an 8. They could argue for an 8 just because it is stupid and funny and you can just turn your brain off and you can beat the game in a single day. You know, so it's just a good afternoon just to laugh and just enjoy something so stupid. Really, I'd say they're like a 7.
I think that's the definition of a 7 out of 10 game.
yeah.
It's a 7. It's a 7. I mean, you could
That's how we've been-
argue an 8, but a 7 I think is fair.
You're sitting there talking about it. I'm like, dude, that's how we've been describing a 7 out of 10 game for the last 2 years.
I think 7 is very fair.
So are we getting a board and making that like a larger size thing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I have no problem. You know what? Shout out to Tyler in chat. Tyler, I need a banner.
Well, we don't need a banner. We just need like a board.
I need a banner. I need a banner. I need a small banner over here showing how the way that we're going to be reviewing games going forward here at Gamestetic. So, but yeah, shout out to Tyler in chat. Appreciate the banner, my friend. Also, you know what? I know you guys don't give a shit about football, but I want you guys to know, man, big shout out to Tyler for the draft special. On Thursday, that man was working. And, dude, it was fantastic. So, for the entire draft, that whiteboard that's, set beside Zach, we were doing our own pick announcements because we were getting the picks like minutes ahead of the TV. Right?
Okay.
Minutes ahead, we were getting them. So whenever the pick would come up, Tyler would very crudely draw the team logo, and like write a bunch of other stuff for who the player was. Man, it made the show fantastic. So big kudos to Tyler. He did a great job. There was a lot of comedic elements in there where like he drew his Buffalo Bills. The thing looked like a fucking hamster. Like I don't know, he's not an artist, but it was great. And when we talked about it later, me and the boys, Tyler's just like, y'all were pressuring me to go fast, and it made it even better because I was just like, come on, Tyler, hurry up, we gotta announce the pick. They're about to announce it on TV. We gotta be ahead. No, it was fun, man. Shout out to Tyler. Tyler crushed it. That was a fun evening. Next banner is going to be a banner of our 2 hats with "Yes, John, we have hats." Shout out, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. But yeah, 7 out of 10 game. Nothing wrong with it. If it's 7 out of 10, don't be disheartened. Still give it a try. You know what I mean? Still, that 7 out of 10 might be a 10 out of 10 to you.
I was gonna say, typically, I mean, like we've said before, and I've said multiple times already on just this show, 7 out of 10 game. That is going to be probably 80% of the games that come out in the year. It's like, because there's too many games that come out now. Most people are going to try to hit the AAA games or like the games that review the best throughout the year. Not everybody's going to hit the 7 out of 10s.
Yep.
And the 7 out of 10s are what are realistically carrying the industry.
Yep, those are the main ones that we see every day that get forgotten.
Yeah, a lot of games being released all the time. In fact, we're about to hop over to games like in early access to kind of watch for and stuff like that. I mean, some of the games that I have picked out to shout out have literally come out within the last 2 weeks. That are, so I mean, like shit comes out all the time. 7 out of 10s come out all throughout the year. I mean, it carries the industry. These 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10s don't carry the industry. They just don't. So I mean, 7 out of 10 is fine. That's the bottom line. And, there's nothing wrong with it. People that say there's something wrong with it, there's something wrong with you. Go back to your Call of Duty and your AAA experiences that you play for 20 minutes and get off.
Is Call of Duty still a AAA experience?
Yeah.
Tell you what, it's a 7 out of 10 experience.
It's a 7 out of 10 experience. That's right. Jesus Christ. Oh man, that's funny. That's great. That's great. Any other comments that we want to throw in with the 7 out of 10 thing? I do want to get something like behind us somewhere with our official rating. I do want to do that.
Take a chance. Go play a 7 out of 10 game.
Bingo. Bingo. I had something, but man, I lost it. I lost it in the last few minutes. I don't know what it was going to be. I'm bugging the crap out of me. You got anything?
No, I
I'm
think
hoping-
I've mostly got my point across.
I was
Or
hoping
the
it
point
was
I
going to jog my memory. I had something, but I lost it. Shit, what was it? Oh, no, it's gone. But you know what's not gone? And that would be our sponsor, Agent Inc. You can use the referral link down below to go pick up some merch like one of our 2 hats or one of our 4 jerseys. You can get the Sparky 3 branded jersey, AniMan plus Gamesthetic, or a Terrible Football Show, and we would appreciate that extra support. I do know one thing that I think I remember what it is now because I said merch. Because of how much that we harp on, like, there's nothing wrong with 7 and 10 games. So I finally started upgrading some stuff in our personal merch store, which also, by the way, we do have a promo code right now. Promo code DRAFT will go on until Monday. I think it gets you 30% off the store. So shout out to that. But I need to add a shirt in there that says, like, there's nothing wrong with 7 and 10 game. I need to add something like that in there. But I did start updating the store and deleting some stuff that was just kind of filling up space, and just kind of working on it. So shout out to spark3shop.com. I need to get like a. I need to get.
Zach, you got a vibe going on right now, man.
You really do. You really do.
But it was a hippo.
Have you- man,
There's a callback.
Jesus, that is such a throwback that no one will understand.
What you got, John?
could you see your hair over there?
No.
That's what you got a vibe going on.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God! Shout out to the hippo. I'm gonna have to send this to Josh. I have him have a little throwback too. Shout out to, no one's gonna understand that except though if you happen to have listened to all of AniMan Plus, then you know the reference.
This is a 3-year-old
This
callback.
is an old callback, but it was a hippo. It does need to be in the merch store, or at least at one point.
I mean, it's a reference to a callback.
Yeah, at one point it was. I don't even remember the exact quote where she's like just pulled out a hippo or something. I don't remember.
We crushed them with a hippo, but they're a vampire. It's a dumb callback.
Oh, that's
We'll leave
what it
be.
was. It's
Yeah.
like, well, it's like how'd they kill him? They're a vampire. Well, they crushed him with a hippo. What? Shout out, man. Shout out. Good times. One day, AniMan Plus will return. I promise. It was supposed to actually come back a few months ago, but me and Zach have both still just been busy. We're still gonna plan to come back. I'm actually watching stuff again. Yozakor Family's good. Go Loser Rangers good. Still need to keep on doing solo. Haven't got much further on that one, but. All right, so let's hit our last topic of the day. We can start going through the weekly wrap up. So, John, what do you want to share? Have you been playing?
No.
Or you saw the fun shout-out?
I had seen an article. I think it actually got announced like last weekend.
Yeah.
And it was just, I think either we didn't see it or we just were already, we probably just didn't see it. But I saw it early in the week. And it's just the fact that 7 Days to Die is officially going to 1.0 and leaving early access, which, man, I didn't think it was ever going to happen.
I'm gonna be honest. If I had saw that announcement, I went, "It's still in early access."
It's been like, at least for me, it's been like kind of the thing that I've always known as an early access. I've played it a little bit, but kind of it's one of those things where I've seen so many games go into early access for years and then come out. Because, you got to remember, Baldur's Gate 3 went to early access.
Yeah. Yep.
And it was in early access for years. And it comes out and it's like masterpiece.
Yeah.
And then yet 7 Days to Die, it's still over there. That
Yep.
game is that they have overhauled this major mechanics of that game so many times. But it's the fact that it's officially coming out just kind of made me think. It was like, man, should it? It was one of those where it's like, I don't know if they could still call it early access at this point, because that game's been selling copies for.
That's been chugging for a decade.
It's been going. It's been a pretty fleshed out game for a long time now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just the fact that I'd seen that, and it kind of, I don't know, I was kind of thinking about early access games at that point.
Yeah. Which, then there's some other games that's been in early access for a while, because isn't Valheim still in early access technically?
Yes.
You know, obviously Power World is, but that one's recent. That one's recent.
Yeah, Power World's probably one of the bigger ones right now.
Fortnite was in beta for like what 6 years or something like that. It was in beta forever before its official release.
What's like last year, Grounded came out of early access.
That's right,
and it was
did,
in early access for a few years as well.
Yeah, it was like 4 or 5.
Oh, my bad. That is dog alarm.
But yeah, it's like that's one thing I've noticed, or at least I've paid attention to more than anything, is these type of games, these open world survival craft games.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just because I pay more attention to them. Almost all of them go into early access. There's none of them come out fleshed out, because it's like they have an idea, they build the beginning of it, and then they want to put it out there. And they go, will people be interested in this one with how many options are out there? And then if people latch onto it, they just keep building on it.
Mm-hmm. If they don't, it just dies.
And honestly, in my opinion, it's one of the better genres to put into early access, because there's a bunch of them out there. You kind of got to build your framework and distinguish yourself, and then like reading it on a description of a game's not going to tell you what that means.
Yeah,
you got to feel the gameplay changes between the games, to at least when they're going to be the same similar type of game.
Here's a question for you guys: do you feel like early access has helped the industry or hurt it?
That's a great question. My knee-jerk reaction to that question is I would say that it helps it, because I feel like it helps for some of these smaller developers to get that game out. Like John said, it's just like, are people going to be interested in this? You know what I mean? I want to say I feel like it's helped them, but you know, the issue is early access games get a bad rap.
They do.
You know, that's where there is that bad side of it, because it's like, you know, even with my girlfriend, she's kind of jaded on the idea of early access games, because there was one game in particular she was really excited for, and it was early access game, and it just shit the bed, and the game just got completely canned. So I feel like it is a good thing, because it does give those developers a chance to put their game out there, see where they can improve based on feedback. But I can see where it's also bad, because it does have a bad rap for a couple of different things.
Not even necessarily that, in my opinion. I think overall it's had a positive impact.
And I would agree with that. I would agree with overall early access has given a option for people to get their games out in a more regulated regulated and timely manner, for them to test the waters. Say, do we have an audience for this before we put in
a ton of money
and work and everything?
In like, at least in my opinion, early access games in general is a fantastic idea. Overall, it's had a good impact on the community as a whole.
Yeah.
But early access games, I feel, have made AAA developers worse. Or the existence of them, because
I like that mindset.
Because if you think about it, most AAA games we get these days it's like they all require patches to get to a point where they're good experiences, or most of them at these points. The amount of games that come out and we see like broken mechanics, it's like the main core gameplay functions don't work, and we need like patches to come out over the next few weeks of a game release, especially for like online games or multiplayer games. In particular, and a lot of cases, single player games too, they're unoptimized and things like that. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's because the developers see the reception to early access games and just assume people are used to playing early access games. They won't mind if we have to patch it when it comes out. Difference being, though, your game's not supposed to be early access. It's supposed to be a complete product when I buy it.
Yeah.
When I buy an early access game, I know I'm not getting a complete product.
Yeah, you know you're going to have some issues.
And it's like I know that if they want to, they can completely change that game from what I originally purchased.
Yeah.
If they wanted to.
And that's where the issue for that AAA comes in. You spend $70, you're expecting the complete experience, and it's a dumpster fire for whatever reason, you know?
Yeah.
So I get that.
Because it's one where I've thought about it recently, and it was kind of the thing of early access games, like they've been around for like
Long
well over
time.
10 years. I mean,
Yeah.
hell, we're talking. We started this with 7 Days to Die, which has been in for over 10 years.
Yep.
But I feel like that's one of the more well-known early examples of
Yeah.
early access in work. So really, like over the last 5 years, early access has become normal for
Yeah,
a lot
more
of
a regular
smaller developers and stuff like that, especially with like Steam and the Xbox
Early
early
preview.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
The game preview.
But with that, there's also been that trend of AAA games have just the quality has not been there for like the last 5-10 years, and it's kind of around the same time period. So I've thought, I'm like, is it because they see that and they just expect people aren't going to complain, or people are normalized to buying an unfinished product?
Yeah.
So that's just a little thought I've had that I thought might be fun to.
That's a fairly good theory because it is that retrospect of blatantly early access gaming. Hey, this is a pre-built thing. Things are going to change and whatnot versus a bill where that says, hey, here's a full game, and then we get half the pie.
Yeah.
Because look at it like Kill the Justice League is one good example because it's supposed to be a live service game, but even for a live service game, we only get about half the experience, and we're supposed to wait for the rest to be released in seasons to fully enjoy whatever's going to be full content. With it being live service, I haven't dug deep of just like how much of this content stays after each season and what disappears after a season, things like that. So in the end, even if people can't continue playing Kill the Justice League and somehow it survived after like season 1, what content do they miss out on, or does that season 1 content stay around in some form or fashion? So even then, people are still paying full price for a live service game that, depending on when they picked it up, may or may not get the full experience.
That's a good way to look at it too. That's a good point. Do you guys have any early access games that you guys want to shout out? Anything that you've seen that looks interesting? Anything that you've been playing? Anything that you touched on? Anything of the sort? You know, there's so many games that came out recently. I mean, like I said, the Manor Lords came out literally just yesterday is what it was. It's currently setting very positive on Steam. Shout out to that. I mean, that's with 11K reviews. I think it's also on Game Pass too. I think it also came to Game Pass. Could be wrong.
I haven't seen it on Game Pass.
I'd have to look, but it's a medieval strategy game featuring in-depth city building, large-scale tactical battles, and complex economic and social simulations. I mean, from everything I've seen on it, I mean, it looks pretty interesting. I mean, people are pretty excited for it right now.
The only early access game I've played of recent times is Power World, so I got nothing.
No.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's one of the bigger, well-known ones right now.
Yeah.
Because early access in general, I mean, hell, I've played a ton of early access games. Lately, I've been more into the games that aren't necessarily doing full early access periods. Where they're doing more of like 2-week demos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just because
Well, those count too.
those are ones where it's like those are more targeted for. I'm focusing on those because they're only available for limited periods of time.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, 'cause I
and
saw
for
you-
that one, Esports Godfather is like my number one.
Yeah.
30
And
days.
You guys love that game.
It's like
man.
my number one anticipated game right for this time period.
Yeah.
30
like-
days until it's released.
I'm so excited. I love that game.
Shout out.
So it's like that's one where it's like
I saw you and one of our online friends had recently played what seemed like a new extraction type shooter game. From what I could tell of the screenshots.
was it that Shard Punk or something like
Yeah.
that? No, that's a new.
I think I just
It's
saw
a
that.
3D or it's a roguelite like wave based type game.
Okay.
So it's kind of like it's a first person shooter kind of roguelike game that works with the same upgrading path that like Vampire Survivors or something like that typically would use,
Okay.
where you basically you have a character, you have a starting weapon, and you have a starting grenade, and then you as you level up, as you kill stuff, you get the experience falls on the ground, and you level up from there, and then you get three perks that you get to pick from. A lot of them are like proc chances or enhance your abilities in some way. So it's an interesting like open world, like open 3D map, first person, or it's not first person, but like shooter take on that. It's pretty fun. Very, very bare bones right now.
Oh yeah,
very early.
I saw what the thing was an alpha test, so I was like, it's rough.
Very early alpha test, but for what's there, it was a lot of fun.
I mean, I guess technically in early access still Sparkball whenever that opens up again.
Oh yeah, shout out to Sparkball. Been a while since I heard that one.
Yeah, I haven't really.
I haven't seen anything on the Discord lately, so
yeah, I haven't seen or really looked into it lately. It's one of those where that one I've enjoyed playing. That one I feel like I'm gonna hear the news from it because there's plenty of people that I know that are looking forward to playing it. If any news comes out, they're gonna tell me before I see it.
Right. I know one of the bigger early access games to come out in the last couple months, just from like just a stupid standpoint, is that Supermarket Simulator. If you guys seen that,
was that an early access?
Yeah, it's an early access game.
Oh, it is an early access game.
It is an early access.
I mean, those are coming out. There's a simulator for just about anything.
There is.
That's become a very popular genre.
There's nothing wrong with simulator games, all right? I love me some Power Wash Sim.
I mean, if I'm gonna mess with it, I'd be VR if anything.
Right. Some other ones that I came across, have not played these, but they look interesting. And these are all recent releases too, so I figured give a chance to shout them out. We have a small platform, but let's shout them out. I came across one called Bellwright. Have you guys seen this on New and Trending and stuff? It came out April 23rd. Mostly positive reviews right now. Survival, open world, crafting, medieval, RPG. That's all the tags for it. So establish and...
I have seen this one.
Okay, all right. Establish and expand your own settlements, liberate the land, and assist its villagers. Recruit others to your cause while learning more about a life that you had to leave behind. Command your forces, prove your valor through combat, and cement yourself as the hero of your people. No, I mean, it seems pretty interesting. The full description for it. Some reviews were kind of harsh on it, where it's just like, some things about the crafting could be improved or whatever, but there were aspects about it where people really enjoyed. So I think Bellwright is one to look into.
But also, I mean, that's also the reason these games are in early access.
Exactly.
It's the reason why they're there is so they want to get a bunch of people in to try it out and tell them, hey, what do we need to fix?
Yeah.
Or
get feedback of some sort.
Exactly.
It's like this is where we're at right now as a player. What needs to be improved?
Yep. Got a couple more. So a couple of these are just cozy games because people enjoy cozy games, and there's nothing wrong with that. One is called Sky Children of the Light. It's an MMORPG, cozy, indie, relaxing is the vibe for it. Have you guys seen this one?
I think I have actually seen that one. Yeah.
It's a peaceful, award-winning MMO from the creators of Journey. So that's why I wanted to shout it out, because it caught my eye on that regard.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, all
that's
right.
why I knew of it, because I'd heard it. I'd seen that the Journey team made it.
Shout out to the developer, that game company. shout out to that, man. I love their name. But yeah, I mean, explore a beautifully animated kingdom across 7 realms and create enriching memories with other players in this delightful puzzle adventure game. This is that definition of a cozy game. If you like cozy games, you like cozy indie games that are casual, not that super stressful, this is a game to check out. It came out April 10th. I came across one called Odd Sparks in Automation Adventure. It's a mix of automation and real-time strategy.
I got one for you. It's not an early access game, but this came across my feed yesterday.
All right, what is it?
It's called Pools.
I actually saw that today.
I saw that.
I saw that today.
It's a walking simulator.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's a walking simulator where it's pools. There's pool. You walk.
It also has the
by.
psychological horror tag.
Yes, and I was actually reading.
What?
I was reading.
I didn't see that.
I was reading the reviews on it, and it's not music. It's not. It doesn't really have music to it. It's just people were saying you can see really far, and it's just the ambient sound of the pools and everything. It's really freaky.
How much is it, Alex?
It is currently on sale for $881.
I saw this and I was like, this seems like an Alex game.
See, I just saw having a glance at all. It was tagged psychological horror. Went
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, I went through it. I was reading some of the reviews on it, and I almost picked it up. I was like, this seems like a game that you would actually enjoy walking through, because that's all it is you walk.
Explore, admire, and listen. Relaxing, uncanny, eerie, hypnotic, immersive. No monsters chasing you or jumping towards you at your screen, but the game can feel oppressive at times by invoking fears of getting lost, the dark, tight spaces, and outwardly architecture. Liminal spaces inspired by back rooms.
Also, reviews echo that very well.
Okay, all right.
So if it's inspired by the back rooms, I could see why it's got the psychological horror tag.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw some reviews that were along the lines of like, yeah, there may not be any like imminent danger or anybody jumping out to get you with a cheap jump scare or something, but this is oddly worse.
It's just
That does sound like because it sounds like they got that ambiance and
Yeah.
setting for it spectacularly done.
there is a demo for it too. It sounds like one of those games where it's just like, because I'm watching like a live broadcast right here on Steam, whatever, and it's like one of those things where it's like you look around the corner, it's just like, is something going to come out? Is something going to jump out at me? You know, like that's the vibe that I get from this. So I could see that. This
Yeah.
would be. An
I wanted
interesting game.
to point that out to you because I saw that and immediately I was like, this seems like your jam.
Alex, when are you free?
I'll let you know.
God dang it.
I'll let
This
you
is
know.
why we never get anything done.
I'll let you know. And the last one that I had to shout out, this one, trademark to the book, what the game is. I just like the vibe for it. It's called Nine Realms, action roguelike based on Thor. You know, you run through the 9 realms. I mean, like, based on general description for the game and stuff, I don't think it does any unique, massive twist to the genre, the story of Thor and everything. Just you can play as Thor and have an action roguelike. That's it. I mean, it came out the 15th. I only got 59 reviews right now. It's mostly positive. Just the gameplay looks cool. Like that's the best I can tell you. I thought it was worth shouting out. Like, it's not gonna probably blow you away, but if you like Thor and you like action roguelikes, I think it could be one worth checking out. It just came out recently, so show some support on it. But now, do like that question that you asked if early access have what they've done for the industry. I think that was a great question for the segment, but because definitely have had a positive impact. It allows games like Nine Realms and Manor Lords and Bellwright and Children of Light and all that to have a chance to shine and a chance to gain an audience and see where they can improve on and stuff like that. So, any other early access related stuff we want to shout out? Are we ready to hit the weekly wrap up? And
I got
finish things
nothing.
up?
No, I think I'm good. I was just looking at a list there, and I'm like, yes, some of these games are, because there's some like V Rising in that where I'm like, these are going to be leaving early access soon.
Yeah.
It's like they've got their dates there, so they can
Yep.
move out of the category soon.
Yeah, it's time to go be full-fledged games. It almost feels like people moving up from the NXT roster to the main roster. It's like, go on and do your thing. Go be a main event superstar, and then you have the new NXT batch coming in. All right, let's go through the weekly wrap-up, boys, and wrap up the show. So the first thing is we did have some Switch 2 leaks. Love talking about those. I will say there was one thing about this that I thought was really interesting. So all this comes from...
I just want to point out, when you first messaged me about like, and I saw Switch 2 leaks, I groaned.
You groaned? Yeah.
I groaned. I'm like, we've been talking about
John,
this for like 4 years.
Listen.
We've been mentioning Switch 2 leaks.
I know.
For
Listen.
years.
Whenever I was making a mock thumbnail last night before I knew anything, when I put the Switch stuff on there, because I have the same Switch stuff in a folder called possible reuse. So I reused the same thing that I've already used of the Switch Lite, the Switch, and the OLED, and I groaned. I'm like, I'll throw that on there, I guess. We'll figure something out tomorrow, hopefully. But just in case we don't, I'm putting that on there. I'm the Nintendo guy. And I feel you, my friend. That's why I wanted it to be weekly wrap up.
Yeah, 'cause that's where it's like, I'm usually like, yeah, we could talk Nintendo. Let's talk some leaks and stuff. And I'm like, oh, Switch 2 again.
I know. No, I mean,
But it's one of those where it's like you gotta mention.
you got to mention it, so that's why it's in the weekly wrap up. But there was one thing about it that I thought was really cool. So this info that's being leaked out comes from accessory manufacturers. This is reported by someone named Vandell. I didn't bother to look into who this was, but there's multiple sources now coming out of the different accessory manufacturers who are basically all reporting this. So the expected release is still early 2025. It is bigger than the current Switch models, not as big as a Steam Deck. 8-inch screen, 1080p. I don't think any of that's new news, but I could be wrong. But the new news that I thought was interesting is the new Joy-Cons will attach magnetically. I thought that was pretty cool. That did raise the question of the current Joy-Cons. There was some kind of back and forth. They do appear to be compatible, but only via Bluetooth. You cannot attach them. The Switch Pro controllers are good. You can use those. Switch 1 game cards will also be supported, which is great. It's basically a DS to 3DS situation. The dock still uses USB-C, and it does have 4K support. It does have the NVIDIA Tegra T239 chip, and that will be manufactured by Samsung. Samsung will also have their 5th Gen VNAND, which is the flash memory that will be used for both internal storage and the game cards. And Samsung will also be providing the displays, but no tech has been named in terms of LCD or OLED, but it is expected to be LCD at launch with an OLED later, which I fucking hate that. Just go ahead and do the OLED. But I know you need another SKU for later, but whatever. The magnetic Joy-Cons I thought was cool. That was the main thing. I thought that was cool.
I don't know, because it's like if you want to have a magnetic, I understand, but it feels like you don't want them to be too strong for when you pull them off.
Yeah.
It's like because the thing is, if they're gonna be magnetic, you're not gonna have like a button to hit to release it. Because if you're gonna do that, why have a magnetic at all?
Yeah.
It's like, and depending on, I don't know, it's just one of those where I could imagine playing it and then like that feeling of being able to move them around while you're holding it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I would like that.
Right. And it's ultimately depending on how strong it is, I guess.
Yeah.
I did also see where the Joy-Cons will include a couple extra new buttons. So there will be buttons on the back of the Joy-Cons, and then there will be a new button below the home screen. So that's it in terms of new buttons. So it really is it sounds like overall for the most part very minimal changes, which is what they needed to do. They just needed a stronger Switch. That's all you need. Just a stronger Switch and you're good. So to make some slight changes so it's still the Switch but still new, and just make it stronger and you're good. You're gonna print dollars. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I thought the magnetic thing was pretty neat. So looking forward to a full reveal at some point so we can stop talking about just the leaks. There was another Nintendo leak, though, that popped off literally right before the show. This was leaked via IMDb, so someone's going to get in trouble. This involves Miyamoto's profile was updated and just had a bunch of projects that he's with. A few of these we already know about, being like the Mario Brothers movie sequel and the Zelda movie, but some other things that were listed is an untitled open-world 3D Mario game, which we can expect is happening regardless. That's common sense. Luigi's Mansion 4, that was cool. Unknown DK remake for Nintendo Switch. That's interesting. Hopefully DK64, but I doubt it since that was rare, but I'd love that. Untitled Star Fox game for Nintendo Switch. Shout out to that.
Which is that's one we've been pitching. It's like maybe it had. They're not gonna do it, but maybe.
Yeah, we always throw Star Fox in there occasionally. Like, hey, well, maybe we'll see him again.
Yeah, and then the expected Untitled Mario baseball game for the Switch.
Which is kind of just like the next in line.
Yeah.
I'm dreading it though because of how much they've butchered all these
Golf Speed.
all of them for the Switch.
Here's the thing.
Besides
though.
Tennis Aces was okay.
Well,
okay, yeah.
No. Here's the thing. It's gonna be bad when it launches because there's not gonna be any content.
Yeah.
Correct.
7 months down the line, it's gonna be a great game.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Mario Striker's still not great.
That's true. Mario Strikers is such a dump. They
I-
fucked that game.
I think
horribly.
that one that might be the first game in a while Nintendo has looked at and just went, we don't even have to try on this one.
It's so sad. Mario Strikers is fun.
They might have that one.
I'm going to be honest, Alex. You probably had a better experience with Strikers because I went back and played it on GameCube a couple months back and went, I see where it could be fun, but it's sort of meh.
I enjoyed the Strikers, man. Strikers was a lot of fun. Nah, new Star Fox game is sweet.
All I'll say is I
Do you
hope that they
think-
do this baseball game justice. 'Cause
I really do. Those are good games.
I
How-
will 100%.
Here's
play
a
this one.
throw out, which would absolutely never happen, but it's if a wish upon a star. If a Mario baseball game was done by the MLB, the show team,
Oh man, That'd be awesome.
That'd be weird.
That would be
It'd be
weird.
weird, but it'd be awesome.
It'd be wild though.
I want to see some other. I want to see them take another swing at another Mario sports game. They had like that DS.
Boo.
Listen, hold on. They had that DS game, the Mario Sports
Wait,
Mix.
I could sell Zach
Okay.
Mario Wrestling.
That was my first thought. Was Mario Wrestling? That was my legitimate first thought. Was like a Mario sports, sports entertainment game.
And where else you gonna see Mario choke slam Bowser?
I would love that. That'd be awesome, dude.
Zach's just over there going, as long as I can my GM these
Yeah.
Nintendo characters.
I mean, yeah, my GM mode,
A
man.
Mario wrestling game would be sick. I
Your
I'm
mic
not-
went
yeah,
out.
There we go. A Mario wrestling game would be sick. All right.
It would never happen.
No, but it would be
They already,
so cool.
They already have Smash Brothers.
I know. It would be so cool though. I'd still like to see him take a swing at something else.
Lacrosse.
Maybe not take a swing at something else for a full-fledged game. I love me some lacrosse. Let me stress this. But give us another Mario sports mix they had on the DS where it was basketball, hockey, and I think volleyball. Give us that.
They're struggling to make one good. You want them to make 4 in 1?
Fair. Never mind. Let's move on. That's a fair point.
I
No,
mean, just have the Mario Party team work on it.
true. That's fair. Very fair. Those all the mini games are fantastic in those games. That's true. But I do hope they do the Mario baseball game justice. I'm scared. Yeah. I'm nervous. All right, next up was the Fallout shit show. So I just wanted to shout this out because you have the hype of the show comes out. Everyone loves the show. It's universally acclaimed, and you finally get out the next gen or current gen update for Fallout 4 for Xbox and PlayStation 5, whatever, right?
I don't know if they could have done this any worse.
They legitimately because of the show hype, our buddy Josh, he picked up Fallout 4 Game of the Year edition. I think it was the Ottoman DLC, whatever, for Fallout 4.
Okay.
Crashed his game. It would not, he had to uninstall that part of the DLC to even load Fallout 4. It completely destroyed his game. All mods, not all, but the mods are basically screwed, which sucks not only from the mods are screwed, but it's also that's not intentional. Bethesda's very supportive of mods.
Yeah.
They love mods, but mods are destroyed. This huge mod fan project, Fallout London, that's been in development for years, it's decimated because of this. Other big Fallout fan projects, large scale projects, are decimated because of this. John, you're right. They could not have done this any worse.
Yeah,
whatever they did, they've destroyed the game.
If they were intentionally trying to do it as horribly as possible, they wouldn't have got to this level.
I know. Dude, it's unbelievable.
So exactly what happened? Because I apparently missed this.
So when they went to do the update, or
the next gen update,
the next gen update for it, something that they did in the files has broken everything.
Yes, has
Gotcha.
broken the game. And from mod base to even DLC, like I said, what happened to Josh, it has just broken the game. Jesus Christ, guys. Who did you have work on this?
Even to the point where I think some people, just their normal game file, when they tried to load it with the new update, has destroyed their file.
Correct.
Oof.
Dumpster fire.
So more or less, old save files are not compatible with the current edition.
Some, yes.
Even current game files.
Yeah, current. Yes, correct.
Like,
and especially if you have a modded game file, which I'll be upfront. That's the only way I play these games now. I've already played them as they are once. I do everything now with mods. It's just my preference. So like my save files, I wouldn't be able to play them. They'd be destroyed.
Which, as someone who has not played a Fallout game, and a few days ago was looking on Game Pass at Fallout games, I am glad that Fallout 4 is not the one that I downloaded.
Did you download 76?
I have 76 downloaded.
Okay.
I almost downloaded New Vegas because that's the one that everybody says to play. But I downloaded the one that I heard about more.
3?
Yeah, Fallout 3 as I was because that was before I had my 360 at the time, and that's the one that I heard everybody talking about.
Yeah.
So that's going to be my first experience of going into Fallout now.
That's a
that's
good
not
one.
a bad one.
That's a good experience.
Because this is one thing we've talked about is it's like this games I've wanted to play for a long time.
Yeah. And it's also it also can be good to start there. You know what I mean? I know you're not like a lot of gamers where you would struggle going backwards, but there are obviously a lot of gamers who like will play Fallout 4 and like I said last week, struggle to go back to the other ones because of how good Fallout 4's gameplay is. You know, you can argue all day about story and shit. I don't care, but the gameplay of Fallout 4 is phenomenal versus the others. So
Yeah.
you know, you're starting with a good one.
Yeah.
You're starting with
That's-
Fallout 3 is really good.
That's one where I was like, I've been putting off playing these for like 5-6 years at this point.
Your whole
I'm gonna,
life.
I'm gonna keep saying I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna download it. I'm gonna one day. It's like one day this week. I'm gonna come home from work. I'm gonna load it up and just run with it.
Yeah, just have a good time. Shout out. That's what's up. But yeah, this shit show, man. You had the golden opportunity to slam dunk this with the show, and you screw it up in the worst way possible. So very unfortunate. You know, for anyone listening, if your Fallout 4 file got screwed, I'm so sorry. I know how frustrating that probably is. Speaking of another shit show, this Embracer Group shit show just continues to evolve because now Embracer Group has now dissolved and has now been split into 3 different companies with Asmodee, which is going to be their board game and card games. You have Coffee Stain and Friends, which is going to be indie, AA, and free to play, and then Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends, which is going to be the AAA projects. Dude, so Embracer stepped up, bought all those properties from I think it was Square, right?
Yeah.
I think so. They bought they bought properties for like 300 mil, which honestly wasn't that bad in gaming money. You know what I mean? Because they got like Tomb Raider and stuff. They cancel like 60 plus games in development, been in development, whatever. Close studios, sell off stuff, and now you just dissolve like this. And like the CEO is just like, yeah, I'm the one to blame. It's just like, well, at least you know. At least you know, buddy. Because Jesus Christ, the shit show that Embracer Group has been since that purchase was made. That purchase, man, that purchase absolutely destroyed them. Next up, so like I mentioned earlier on in the show, with Stellar Blade launching, I mean, it's reviewing well. I mean, it's not reviewing as a top tier game or anything, but like it came like I think like an 80, 82 on Metacritic. Got a lot of 7 out of 10s, 8 out of 10s, stuff like that. Got some 9 out of 10s from more RPG based reviewers and stuff. But a lot of people seem to enjoy it. So shout out. Did you guys also see the hard R situation?
I saw a picture of it.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Yeah, it was. So there was on a wall a neon light for our shop, and there
Okay.
happened to also be graffiti right beside it that said "hard." So it read "hard R."
Okay.
So kind of caused a little bit of controversy on that when they immediately patched the game like at the day the game the day of the game's launch.
Just because it said harder?
Hard R.
You're gonna have to move past that.
Yeah. It's over my head, so yeah, you
Okay.
just got to move past me.
All right, moving past. You know, if you got it, you got it. But either way, it got patched out. Also, apparently, Watch Dogs series is dead and buried per rumors.
Not surprised.
After 3, not surprised either. So
I'm not gonna lie. I'm surprised it made its way past the first one.
I mean, first one was mechanically pretty interesting, regardless of its bad, how it was shown off versus what we got. 2 was actually really good. 3 was sort of niche.
next up, BlizzCon 2024 has been canceled. I don't think that's anything on like bad. I personally read into that as they don't have anything substantial to have a con for. You know what I mean? Like any like announcements or new things because they have like all the stuff like in the works, like already announced and stuff. Like I think the next like WoW thing, like the next WoW expansion's already announced. I know Diaz is talking to me about it. I don't remember what it's called, but like and then there's the next
I think
WoW Classic one, which I think is like what Wrath of the Lich King. I think is the next one.
No, it's the next one after
Okay,
that.
so like we already know that's out.
I think it's a combination of they don't have anything to announce, but also I don't know that they have that they think they have enough goodwill built up right now to just have a convention.
True. And plus, I feel like also just the transition of everything with Microsoft and stuff. But you know, I don't think it's like a canceled thing forever. Because I mean, like you know, people like higher ups from Blizzard have come out and said like, "Hey, we have not been asked for anything. Like Microsoft's just letting us be us." And that's what you need out of this whole deal, this whole transaction is Microsoft just to let them be them. So I imagine it'll come back next year. It's just a mix of a few different things going on. Last thing I had here that I want to shout out is 20 years worth of Nintendo-related mods have been removed from Gary's mod after Nintendo takedown request, and the creators of Gary mods have confirmed that yes, they have received Nintendo takedown requests. So Nintendo ninjas are just out and about after various things that they've been striking.
I just like the thought of Gary's mode. Just they open the door. Oh, Nintendo ninjas. Hit the switch.
Yeah, basically. Shut it down.
I don't even think you could say it's Nintendo ninjas. It's just like, it's the fact that it's like, yeah, it's been well known forever. Gary's mod, you could put whatever the hell you want to on there.
Yep.
And it's just one of those things where Nintendo's probably just been sitting there and it's just been on the checklist to get to eventually,
Yeah.
and they just finally got to that line item.
They finally just sent a letter in the mail, and Gmod went, okay.
They just went,
Flip the
been
switch.
waiting on that one.
Yeah, flip the switch.
Been a good run, guys.
We're done here. Sorry, everyone.
Shut that section of server down.
Yep. Last thing to shout out. I meant to shout out earlier whenever he put it in chat, but we've just been kind of flowing through conversation, flowing through the weekly wrap up. But Tyler did remind me of where the banner came from. It came from a Race World USA Signs and Graphics. So big shout out for the banner. Really appreciative of Tyler for getting that and appreciative of them for their work. Because apparently, per Tyler, they had a stupid fast turnaround on it. Like Tyler hit him up like late in the day before the draft. Like, hey, can you do this? It's like, can you put this on your schedule, whatever? And then like literally the next day at lunch, Tyler got a message like, hey, come pick this up. It's just like, damn. It's like I know we wanted it for the draft, but damn, it didn't expect it to be that quick. So yeah, big shout out. Appreciate that. Guys, you got anything else that you want to throw into the Gamesthetic universe here?
I'm good.
I don't think so.
All right, let's hit the music. Let's get out of here.
Like, comment, subscribe, rate, whatever your platform allows. It does help. Yeah, I think that's all I got. I don't got any extra comments.
All right, do everything he said and more. And if you like what you saw here and want to see us do this again live, we do these every Saturday. We usually every Saturday, 6 p.m. Central Time, and we'll be here then.
And make sure to also check us out on our website, sparky3.com. You can sign up for free, sign up $5 a month. We appreciate the extra support. It's like we appreciate the extra support if you go over to Rogue Energy with the referral link down below. Promo code Sparky3 to get 10% off your order, as well as Agent Inc. Use the referral link down below, pick up a hat or a jersey, and we would definitely appreciate that support. We'll see you next week. Have a good one. Bye.